Good morning, Gateway Kids and Youth. So, hopefully by now you have watched the video of the last part of our story of Joseph. So let's have a think about how we can dwell in today's story where Joseph is reunited with his brothers. Today's story, if you want to read it for yourselves, can be found in Genesis chapters 42 to 50, or you can find it in the Jesus Storybook Bible. And it's this one here called The Forgiving Prince. Okay, so number 1. Joseph had to wait a really long time, but eventually the dreams that God gave him about his brothers bowing down to him came true. Can you create something to show one of Joseph's dreams, either the one with the stars or the one with the sheaves of corn, and what happened when the dream came true? Joseph as a prince with his brothers bowing down to him. Number 2. If Joseph was an apple, I think that he would be an apple that had been dropped on the floor, chopped up into little bits, and had all its skin peeled off. Loads of bad stuff happened to Joseph. So, why don't you get an apple, and with your grown-up, you could peel the apple, chop the apple, and then put it in a saucepan with a little bit of water and a little bit of sugar and some cinnamon, and cook it for a few minutes with your grown-up, and I think you'll find that it's a very tasty treat. Joseph was part of God's big family that he had promised to Abraham, and God used the bad things that happened to Joseph to save Joseph's family. So many bad things happened to Joseph, a little bit like our apple. But God had a good plan, and good things came out of Joseph's life, a little bit like our tasty stewed apple. Yum, yum. Number 3. Joseph's brothers were cruel to Joseph. We might say that their hearts were like ice. But even though they did really horrible things to Joseph, Joseph still loved them and he forgave them. His heart could easily have become like ice, like his brothers, but actually it stayed warm. Can you think of a moment in today's story where Joseph's brothers' hearts start to melt and turn from ice to warmth, when they start to show that they are loving? You might want to do a science experiment. So what you will need is 4 ice cubes, and then you'll need a tray or some bowls, and you need to put water in one, salt in another, sugar in another, and leave one of them empty. And then you're going to put an ice cube into each of your bowls or your parts of your muffin tin. And you're going to watch and see which one of your ice cubes melts the fastest. And while you're watching your ice melt, why don't you ask God to remind you of anybody that you need to forgive, that's done something unkind or mean to you that you've not forgiven? And then, when you've caught from God who that person is, you can choose to forgive them and then ask God to help the ice in your heart to melt and for your heart to warm towards that person. Number 4. When we look at the story of Joseph, we notice that it's a reflection of Jesus' life. There's lots of similarities between Joseph's life and Jesus. I wonder if you could make a list of those similarities. Now, you might want to use the Jesus Storybook Bible. I'll show you which page. It's this page here. And that's got some of the similarities between Joseph and Jesus. But you also might want to go on the internet with your grown-up and Google it, and you can find out some more similarities. And you could either make a list, or you might want to make a PowerPoint presentation to show us the similarities between Joseph and Jesus. And if you'd like to send that to me, I'd love to see it. Right, let's see how our ice is getting on. Not melted yet. I'm not going to show you any more because I want you to be able to find out for yourself. And sorry, it looks like the labels are back to front. Never mind. Right, well, I hope you have fun thinking about our story today. Please put any pictures or videos onto our Facebook page so I can see what you've been up to. Bye-bye.